Hi there, welcome to the program. This being our last episode this year, I'm your host, Alex Chamwada. Now, from mid this year, when this show began, we've managed to tackle many issues that affect you, from transport to energy use, environment to food security, urban planning to climate change, just to list a few. We look back at some of the memorable issues, events, and discussions that have shaped this show. We will sample your views and the ups and downs the crew behind this show has gone through.
Hey.
Remember, the hashtag for this show is Reflecting 2015. Keep those tweets coming, and this hashtag is not just for the show. Share with us also your experiences this year.
I watch your stories, Chamwada. Actually, they are different.
Yes.
They're usually insightful. They are fresh and very original.
Kukuona. Sasa nimekuona personally na nimefurahi.
Umefurahi kuniona basi. Ni story gani wewe ufurahia zangu?
Ai, nyingi.
Kama
nyingi. Lakini mimi upendo kituripotia. Sasa hilo na report kutoka nje unaripoti vizuri sana.
Za ng'ambo.
Unasikika vizuri sana.
I'm humbled. Now, in July this year, we brought you a comparison between slums in Nairobi and slums in Lagos City. We met a Kenyan priest who works in one of the biggest slums in Lagos. That slum is known as Amukoko slum. And through his eyes, we were able to compare the slums between the two cities. Take a look. Father Emmanuel Likoko, born and brought up in Kitale in Kenya, is a household name in Amukoko slums in Lagos City. He heads a Catholic parish that is in the middle of the slums. He has seen it all in Nigeria, as he had served in the northern part of the country that is home to the dreaded Boko Haram terror group before being transferred to Lagos City.
Our training is meant to prepare us for difficulties. You know, we are trained as missionary priests. When I was in South Africa, I worked in some of the townships in South Africa. There's a lot of violence. Some of us were sent even as students to South Sudan and many other places. So religiously, by training, we are prepared for it.
Father Emmanuel says, in the slums here, the girl child is vulnerable. Chances of making it in life are slim for them. And this was one of the key areas that needed attention.
This center is basically meant to empower our youth in the slum, and we target teenagers, especially teenage mothers. The Women Training Center is basically for teenage mothers and the girls who have just nobody to support them. It is highly subsidized, and some of them are here on full-time scholarship. The church pays for everything. Some are from very abusive and dysfunctional homes. Some girls are abused by their own relatives and they can't have a home for themselves. So we try to find a place where they can stay and then attend school here, and then when they finish, we try to help them get employment and have accommodation of their own so they can move on in life like that.
Coming to this school again really helped me in terms of training, because there are many people outside there that the way of living is not, especially this our area, but getting to this place, it really shaped me.
Many people will not want to live here because of the crime level. Like when I had been here only after 5 months. I think it was almost after 8 months, I was attacked by armed robbers just outside my gate. And people scattered. And when you live here, you live in fear. The boys controlling the street. Okay, we have groups that operate like vigilantes. And basically, we rely on them for our security. Like the security of our church is we have given to the vigilantes. And also the streets around if you don't involve the vigilantes, you cannot contain crime. Like when people are coming to church in the morning or leaving the church in the morning, they attack them on some particular streets. So basically we involve vigilantes, we pay them on a monthly basis and then ensure that there is security and all that. So vigilante groups are there basically for security and you must pay them. If you don't pay them, you are not safe.
The only problem is that the youth of this area, they are jobless. So they can help us to tell government that to help the youth. Well, when it is time of election, other people will come, they will do this, they will do that. But at the end of the day, it's zero.
As a church, we are called to make them live a better life. We are called to support them, to go and raise funds to support them. And the little we are doing here, like getting the people out of the slums and setting them up somewhere else, trying to decongest the slums. I think the pastors in Kenya should do the same. We should not just be whining that, oh, the government is not doing anything and all that. But the slums are getting full and full of the people. We want our churches to be full of these same people, but I would prefer to have an empty church without an empty slum than to have a full church with a slum full of people with problems.
Just to let you know, the episode that has attracted the largest number of views online is the one that was titled The Other Somalia.
We see ourselves as an independent state, a de facto independent state. And I think we have managed it to be on our own for the last 24 years. The international community realizes that Somaliland has done well. We have managed to maintain peace and stability. And we do believe that recognition will come very soon.
Somaliland celebrates its independence every 18th day of May. During this occasion, the state normally displays its military might. And Berbera Port is actually the main gate to Somaliland's economic activity. The ships here would be operating between this region and countries like United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, Yemen, China, and I'm told sometimes Europe.
Berbera Port is a key port for Somaliland. It's very strategic. There are quite a good number of international port managers that are very much interested in it. There are many more than 4 member states contractors who are very much interested in developing the port. People see that it's a very strategic location. It's an excellent place. It has been there for quite some time, and it would be a gateway for Ethiopia. Ethiopia is very much interested in the development of the port.
Locally too, we brought you stories that transform lives. In Kamba village, in Lari constituency, Kiambu County, we spent time with farmers there, and we were able to learn how they are adapting new farming methods that are environment friendly. Let's have a look.
Tutumii kuni tena, tunatumia biogas peke yake.
Farmers are directly contributing to curbing the global warming.
Initially, when we are growing up, we could define a lot of weather patterns. But now, I cannot define weather patterns because of the foreign phenomenon about climate change. And that is an effect that we see out of cutting down of the trees.
They know that their day-to-day activities cannot be divorced from the future of the environment. More so because they live close to a key water tower, that is, the southern part of the Aberdare forest, and the forest must be protected by all means. This part of the forest is known as Kirita Forest. About 20 years ago, it was under worrying threats of wanton destruction. They did not wait. They swung into action under the banner of Kijabe Environment Volunteers, Kenvo.
Through this program funded by Danida, we were able to involve the community in doing various things like putting up biogas to basically reduce pressure on the forest.
When the Sustainable Development Goals were adopted in New York during the United Nations General Assembly, to replace the Millennium Development Goals, we were right there. The most important goal is to end poverty in all its forms everywhere. Goal number 2 is to end hunger and achieve food security. Goal 3, ensure healthy lives and promote well-being for all at all ages.
Presidents, thank you for making the promise to end AIDS by 2030. But if we are really going to end AIDS by 2030, we must make sure that all the children living with HIV must be on their medication for their whole life. Please keep your promise. Thank you all for listening to me, and may God bless you all.
While in New York, we brought you the journey through the city. It is known as the city that never sleeps. Unaitwa nani?
Wanajua Kaluki.
Kaluki.
Loki.
Loki.
Aha.
Na mimi unanijua?
Chamwada, nani ajui Chamwada?
Ala. Streets of New York, nani ananijua?
Hey, Obama si ni Mkenya. Hapa natafuta Kenya kidogo pia.
Chamwada ni nani?
Chamwada mwenye KTN. Mwenyewe mzee mzima huyo.
This is pleasant surprise. Sasa waenda wapi saa hii usiku?
Sasa nilikuwa naenda kazini kidogo. Nitoke, hata nilikuwa kazini saa hii nimalize shughuli niingie nyumbani pia.
And someone is doing a great job marketing Kenya and her talents. The Kenyan connection with the faces of some of Kenya's renowned athletes on some of the trains. You are watching Reflecting 2015, a flashback of some of the happenings that were captured in the Chamwada report. Now, if you thought everything is normally smooth, you are wrong. In season 1, the focus was on Kenyans in the... I see it's going. In season 1, the focus was Kenyans. So leave room here. Mi niko kwa corner. Yeah. From us, the 4-member team, the 4-member crew at Cham's Media, US presidents to Africa. Does that make sense? Past visits of US presidents to Africa, South. Remember, this show is about you and with you. And we ask, Sawa. Zooming out or panning? Sawa. I'm ready. It is worth emphasizing that feedback on this show has been amazing. We value your contribution. Let's now look at some of the tweets we received.
Husika Kenya liked the episode on decongesting Nairobi, suggesting that it should in fact be repeated. David Githaiga liked the episode on climate change and farming methods. Nancy Mungai says, all your reports are well researched and indeed very informative. Keep up the good work. William Onoka wants us to continue with the issue of decongesting Nairobi and insists that Governor Evans Kidero and Senator Mike Sonko must see this. And Harrison Simoto observes that the coverage on decongesting Nairobi was insightful, timely, and relevant to sustainable development goals. For the Chamwada Report, I am Robert Randall.
We take a quick break. When we return, issues about flooding had never been covered like this before. Don't go away. Welcome back. Now, after the El Nino alert this year, we sought to find out which exactly are the flood-prone areas in the country. In collaboration with the Water Resources Management Authority, the government body that manages water resources in the country. We visited 3 out of the 16 flood-prone areas to find out how area residents normally cope with the flooding, and this is what we found out.
Maji ikija hapa, nyumba kama hizi huwa zinajaa maji mpaka yanaingia ndani. Huwa vitu hata saa nyingine vinatolewa vinapelekwa na maji. Inabidi hata kama ni watoto huwa tunawabeba migongoni, hata tunakosa hata mahali pa kupika.
Here in Taveta, gullies formed by flood water are a reminder of the past.
Na wakaweza kutufundisha jinsi ambavyo tunaweza kuelimishana ili tuweze kuambia wenzetu wa kule chini kama kuna mvua imenyesha kubwa huku tuwaeleze mapema ili wasikutwe na mshangao kwamba maji yameingia kwa nyumba na hawajui. Kwa hivyo hapa kuna geji ambayo umeiona hapa. Hii geji ina maji yakifika milimita 30, 60, 90, 120. Ile ya kwanza ya 30 itapiga alarm. Na hii alarm iko ndani ya hii nyumba. Nimepitisha waya chini kwa chini, nikaingiza mpaka pale ndani ya nyumba. Kwa nini iko ndani ya nyumba? Ni kwa sababu inakuwa karibu na ile room unalala ili alarm ikilia usikie.
Still on the river, there are water gauges for measuring water levels in order to monitor floods and give early warning signals. There is one at the bridge near Ahero on River Nyando.
Chukua data na record napiga simu kwa ofisi ile wao pia wajue. Kama mwaka yenye ilipita ilijaa zaidi, ilikuwa mpaka 3.00. Nikapiga simu kwa ofisi wakakuja, hata iko wenye waliama.
Nyasaye! Konpin, Piotur! Kamuga Loa! Apondo ere, Ubiero! Apondo ere! Akumu!
Another notable measure in Nyando is the sensitization of communities living in flood-prone areas through drills on what to do when floods arrive. There are 17 evacuation centers constructed by the government of Kenya through the Water Resources Management Authority in collaboration with development partners like the Japanese International Cooperation Agency, JICA.
We want to ensure that in the upper catchment where we have the slopes, that the farming that is on the slopes is as per the contours or advised by the agricultural specialists, so that we avoid the soil getting into the river. We want also to ensure that the river receives the soil plus the water. The riverbed is silted up. When it is silted up, the water level gets up, and when it gets up, it then spreads beyond the banks, and it gets into people's homes, destroying their vegetation, destroying their crops, and also displacing them from their various homes.
The timing of the coverage of the flooding situation in Kenya would coincide with a climate change conference in Paris that would follow. And armed with local knowledge about the impact of climate change, we flew to Paris and we covered that conference. Here is how we did it.
La réaction est positive, je n'entends pas d'objection. L'accord de Paris pour le climat est accepté.
We're looking at how can we reduce emissions in industries, how can we reduce emissions in manufacturing, how can we reduce emissions in transport.
While in Paris, we brought you the sights and sounds of the city. Paris is called the City of Light because it was a place of enlightenment in the 18th century. During this age of enlightenment, the city became the center of education, philosophy, and learning. Government records show that another reason Paris is called the City of Light is because it was one of the first cities to start using streetlights during the Great Exhibition of 1889. Having streetlights meant people could now do activities after dark that they could not do before. The streets suddenly grew safer. The Eiffel Tower is one of the key tourist attractions. The tower is named after the engineer Gustave Eiffel, whose company designed and built the tower. It was constructed in 1889 and has become a global cultural icon of France and one of the most recognizable structures in the world. Another episode that has attracted a considerable number of views online is that on energy. We went deeper into solar energy and how it can bridge the gap of your energy needs. That was episode 11.
As people have a philosophy here in terms of self-reliance, we want to do our own water, we want to do our own power, we want to do our own chicken, eggs, sukuma wiki, maize, millet, we want our own.
The government formulated a feed-in tariff policy where people can generate electricity from solar and feed it to the national grid. We have a few proposals which have been developed, and some of them are at Kenya Power, establishing a power purchase agreement so that they can commence construction of these large solar farms of up to 40 megawatts.
The episode that trended the most on social media was that about decongesting Nairobi. We brought you the significance of a reliable public transport system in decongesting the city. Now, our hashtag there on the screen attracted over 3 million impressions and it had a reach of over 500,000.
There is total confusion in the whole industry.
The government is trying amid all these noises.
I use my car because public transport is not reliable.
10 years or so, public transportation will be totally different from what we know today.
There you are. Time now for more cuts from behind the scenes. As we wind up the show, we sought your views on what you would like covered in the new year. Here are some of the suggestions we received.
Jill wants us to cover issues regarding waste management, especially in urban areas. He wants us to compare with what developed countries do. Majani Chasia says, consider county audit reports. Let's discuss achievements of devolution in counties to help voters make decisions. Fred Otieno, on the other hand, says he would like to see a comparative study on the use of technology in elections. Geoffrey Awiti wants us to tackle education, while Denise Otieno suggests that we look at arts, the entrepreneurship side of it, and how the youths can make more money. Karithi Murimi, on his part, says next should be devolution. For the Chamwada Report, I am Robert Randall.
That's all from us on Reflecting 2015. A big thank you to all our viewers. You made us become one of the leading shows on development in the region. We wish you a happy and prosperous new year. Bye-bye.